the good Lord is still in the house with us. Good crowd for a Wednesday wet night. And like I said, I lost my glasses. I've missed them 3 or 4 times here. I reckon I've got nervous or something. And, but you know, the old devil is a liar. And the father of it. You know, we look at all the miracles Jesus has done, and it hit me today that I hadn't really really sunk in. You know, I'd read and where he'd opened blinded eyes and caused the lame to walk and the deaf ears hear and all that, you know. And so I always said, well, that's good, you know, and all that. And but I was going to read here where Peter walked on the water. That's what I was going to read on. And but just before that, he fed so many, and he had a healing service. And I was thinking about the healing, you know, and sometimes he would send his disciples on the way. And that just dawned on me. I said, what's he sending them away for? And it just struck me. You know, if it's healing, 2 or 3 of us in here tonight was to get healed or get saved, we wouldn't be in no hurry to go home. That's right. They wasn't in no hurry to go home. We ought not be in no hurry to go back to our home where we live right now. We ought to be wanting to stay in the presence of the Lord. And I'm telling you, when you're in the presence, we prayed 2 or 3 times at the house here, and we've had 2 or 3 healings. And I'm telling you, it makes you want to stay where the presence of the Lord is. And you just think about it, he fed all them people and healed everybody that he come in contact with. He never passed up one. And if they asked the Lord to save them, just like in this story that I'm fixing to tell you here, Peter said, "Save me, Lord." Cried out. If we cry out for the Lord, it automatically helps. He automatically saves your soul. If you're lost here tonight, all you got to do is cry out to the Lord and say, "Lord, save me." And he'll save your soul. He said he would. He said he'd be in our midst, and he'd be there with us. Turn with me to the 14th chapter, 22nd verse, and I'm going to read through about 31 or 2, but I may not read just 1 or 2 right now. It's so good I can't stand all of it at one time. And straightway Jesus contracted his disciples to get into his ship and go before him unto the other side, while he sent the multitudes away. And when he had sent the multitudes away, he went up into a mountain apart to pray. Let's just stop right there. You know, Jesus, we wonder, you know, why is Jesus praying? He's connected to God, that they is one. He needed help just like we do. He needed that comfort prayer. He had healed all these people, fed these thousands of them, ever how many there was, and he'd healed the sick. I'm sure some got saved, but he needed a little private time. You know, sometimes we need some private time. Get our, as old folks said, get in your own closet and go to prayer. And that's what we need to do. We need to get in our closet and have a little time, just me and the good Lord, me and Jesus. As that song used to say, me and Jesus got our own thing going. Yes. And we need to have our own thing going with Jesus. We need to get off and talk to him privately and say, "Lord, here I am, and just here you are. Tell me what I need to do." I'm praying different than what I used to do. I pray that the Lord will lead me, not me trying to lead him. I prayed and trying to lead him, tell him which way he needs to help me out of this situation. He knows more than I do. And he can help me out of situations that I'd messed it up. Me and Brenda was talking the other night. It's been raining, for the last week or two. We've really got to rain. I told her, I said, I'm glad the good Lord don't leave me in charge of the rain. I'm a farmer, and I'd have it raining when them crops is getting up and flourishing good like that, but I would mess it up. I would mess it up. I think sometime when it really gets dry, I say, Lord, I know we need rain, and I know it's your will for us to prosper and do well. But timing with him is everything. And there's things that we think, well, we could do, if it's this way, that's the way it ought to be. It really helped me out. But I ain't the only one in the world. We ain't the only one. Somebody else may need something more than I. They may need that dry weather more than I do. Or they need that wet weather more than I need the dry weather. And the Lord is doing all things. And straightway Jesus contracted his disciples to get into a ship, pretending it to be being in the later of the day. Jesus told his disciples to get into the ship and go over to Capernaum. He wouldn't have told them to go over there if they wasn't going to make it over there. He don't speak stuff it ain't going to come to reality. And Jesus, he talked to the people ushering them on, and just like I said a while ago, they got healed and all this, and they were just dragging around. They didn't want to leave Jesus. I believe when we get to heaven and walk on them streets of gold and see him face to face, it's going to be hard for us to go anywhere else but right with him. I believe as Mary, when Jesus would come, Mary and Martha, when he would come to their house, she wanted to get on her knees or sit down and just sit there and listen to him. She wanted to listen to him. That's what we need to do, is keep our eyes. You've seen folks do this way too. You've seen them do that way too. That's what we need to do, is keep our eyes on Jesus. If we'll keep our eyes and our mind focused on Jesus, there ain't nothing that can happen to us. Nothing. And and a lot of folks said, well, it looked like he'd make me have more money and all that stuff. Are you keeping your eyes on him? Or are you thinking about the money? The circumstance. Are you thinking about the circumstance or what Jesus wants for you? He's the one that controls things. Let me read on just a little further. I've lost my place. Y'all ever do that? But the ships were now in the midst of the sea, tossed with waves, for the wind was contrary. In the fourth watch of the night, Jesus went unto them, walking on the sea, and when the disciples saw him walking on the sea, they was troubled, saying, It is a spirit, and cried out for fear. I guess if we'd been there, we'd have been the same way. We'd been scared and all that. And Jesus was walking on the sea. My paper's sticking. That's when a fellow needs a tongue and with his fingers so he can flip the paper. And give me just a second here. Lord have mercy. Devil, you're a liar. Tell the devil he's a liar, Anthony. Stand up and tell him he's a liar. Yeah, the devil is a liar. That's right. That's right. This entire episode is frightening with a meaning which was made. This entire episode it's a lesson to teach us. Everything in this Bible is to teach us to get closer to Jesus.
That's right.
To get closer to Him. That's the main thing, is get as close as we can. You say, well, I'm saved and I'm doing all right. You got to get closer. I believe it's an everyday thing. I believe we've got to walk closer to Him every day if we're going to make it in. We've got to be closer. It's just getting that closest and getting in that, I believe they say that secret place.
Amen.
I want in that secret place. I want closer to Him than I've ever been in my life. I believe it's going to take it to stand in these last days. We're living in perilous times. We're living in times when folks don't love the blacks. The blacks don't love the whites. The whites don't love the whites. The blacks don't love the blacks. I mean, it's awful. It's pitiful. You just look up here at Memphis. 5 of them killed that fellow. I mean, we're living in times. You don't know when you'll walk out them doors and go eat tonight somewhere and somebody just shoots you. That's when where we need to be close to God. So if we do leave this walk of life, that He'll be there, that we'll make it in. We've got to make it in. And we are serving a God that's a miracle worker. And a lot of folks say, well, just like in the Bible here, He done all this healing. He still heals today.
Yes.
Cody come out there squalling here with a toothache the other night. She started bleeding. I said, wait a minute, let's pray for you. Me and Brother went in there and anointed her. And I felt the power of the Lord touch me. And I know it touched her.
Yes.
And I looked at my hand, and Brenda, I thought she'd really poured the water, that stuff. My hand looked plumb greasy like. And the old devil was trying to get my mind off of looking at my hand there instead of Cody. But I told her, I said, the Lord touched you. She said, He sure did. It's not hurting as bad. And before she got to the house, she called us back. She said, it's quit hurting. Yes. And it ain't always the same. You can't tell me that Jesus won't heal today. It don't make no difference what it is. They say, well, you got cancer and there's no hope for you. Have you tried Jesus? We need to try Him first and then worry about the doctors later on. Jesus is the one that can take us through this. Just like the soldier come to Jesus and he told him, he said, my servant is dying. And I need you to pray for him. He said, well, let's go. Grabbed him, said, let's go. He said, no, I'm not worthy for you to come under my roof. He said, just speak the word right there. Jesus said, I hadn't found such greater faith than what he had. Right there. I'm telling you, he can do it. All we got to do is believe. It's hard. I pray that the Lord will give me the believing material that I need to make things happen. We got to have faith or it's impossible to please Him. We can't please Him if we ain't got faith. We can't get saved if we ain't got faith that He's going to save our soul. And He will save us. He will heal us. It's not wrong to be healed.
No.
And it's not wrong to be saved. We all every one of us, we may not believe a lie. This church down the road may not believe it, but we're all trying to get to heaven. We're all trying to get to heaven. We need to come together and be as one. Jesus said, I'm the way maker. Let me read on just a little further. And Peter answered him and said, Lord, if it be thou, bid me unto thee on the water. And he said, come. Yes. I'd like to really know what went through Peter's mind when he said, come. I can just see Peter, none of the rest of them in the boat said a word. They were scared, afraid of something else. But Peter stepped out of that boat. He was always gung-ho to do everything. Just like when the soldiers come to arrest Jesus, first thing he done is drawed that sword, and off that air it went. And Jesus reached down and picked it back up, and he had to get on to it. Sometimes the Lord has to get on to us. But Peter was willing to get out of that boat. I don't know where I'd have been willing to get out of the boat. If I'd have been there, I hope I would have. But I could just see Peter stepping out of that boat. He was used to the water. And you know, he wasn't just stepping in knee deep or waist deep or hip deep. It was 150 feet deep, I believe is what the thing read there. And it wasn't but about a 2 or 3 mile journey across there, which was about an hour. But they'd been towing for 9 hours. They done it there, and this was the last watch of the night, 3 o'clock to 6 o'clock in the morning. And you know, and they were shook up, been doing that all night long. But old Peter rolled out of that boat. I just wonder if some of them others said, "You know what you doing?" Looked over at them others and said, "He's gone." But Peter, let me read on a little further. But when he saw the winds boasting, he was afraid and began to sink. He cried, saying, "Lord, save me." You know, sometimes we look, say this is the waves coming at me right here, but there's a whole lot taller. The turbulence of the water was what's causing all this. And as long as sharing Jesus there, as long as I kept my eye, but if the fellow don't watch, you'll let your eyes come out of it. Look over to the corner, or this way, or to the right. He said don't look to the left or to the right. We're looking the wrong way, folks. We need to keep our eyes focused on him and not on the wave, not on the circumstance, what's out there that might hurt us or whatnot. If we'll keep our eyes on him. He told him to come out of the boat. He told him to get out of the boat and come to me. He didn't mean he was going to let him drown when he come out of that boat. He wouldn't have told him to come if he thought he was going to drown. But he said, come to, but when he looked off and seen that gush of wind coming, he began to sink. He cried out, "Lord, save me. Lord, save me." And immediately he caught him and pulled him back up. That's all we got to do. Hey, we make mistakes and we go to sink. But all we got to do is call him, and he'll bring us back in. I don't believe I need to do nothing else. I believe the Lord is, it's up to you now.
Yes.
If you want to come to this altar. I'm asking you to come to this altar just like Jesus would ask you to come to this altar. If you're lost, if you got a problem that you can't solve, if you'll come to this altar and believe, and we'll pray with you, and the Lord will fix it. I believe that. I don't care what it is. If you'll come to this altar, he'll fix it. You say, well, I've got troubles at home, my wife or my husband or my boyfriend or girlfriend, and I don't know what to do. Right here's your answer. Jesus is your answer. Just like when Peter said, "Save me," he didn't hesitate. He stuck his arm out and brought him right on in. And he'll do you the same way.
Yes, yes.
He said he got no respect to a person. What he'll do for me, he'll do for you.
Yes.
What he'll do for some rank stranger over yonder, he'll do for you.
Yes.
He loves us all the same. There ain't no, you say, well, I ain't never been in church, ain't never had nothing. That don't make no difference.
Yes.
Now is the time of salvation. Right now. Right now is the time to get saved. Right now is the time to be healed.
Yes.
I believe the Lord will heal you tonight if you'll come to this altar. If you need something, a healing, I believe He will. I believe if you're lost and done, don't